Good morning, Lafayette. I am your meteorologist, Brian Burden, here on a rainy Wednesday. Is it middle of the week? Hump day already? I have your forecast for that train that's just chugging along the tracks, pulling in some of the rain and the moisture. Remember the last few days and even last week when we talked about where will the rain train set up? Where will that corridor be? At the moment, it's right over Lafayette. Sure enough, since last night, we have been pulling in plenty of rain, a couple of thunderstorms here or there, and we have been pulling in moisture from the south and warm temperatures from the south, and then the cold finally pushed down and pushed some of that out of the way and brought us some of that rain. So we are going to see a bit more of that off and on as we go through the next couple of days. I've got a rainy forecast and some dry spots too. It's not just all rain, of course, during that time frame, but it does look like it's going to be a rainy period setting up for most everybody here in Lafayette and just about everybody in most of Indiana. So if you're traveling around Indiana, you're going to see some rain, you're going to see some thunderstorms, you're going to see a little bit of real hot weather, you're going to see a little bit of cold weather too at times. So it just depends on where you are at any given point. Of course, that's the way it is always with weather, not just in Lafayette, but just about everywhere. So let's get right into it. There's a lot to cover here this morning. We're going to go over all the charts. We're not going to give you just 3 minutes of weather. We're going to give you about 45 minutes of weather, all right? How about that? That is what we're going to do. We're going to go straight over to our main screen here, and we are going to cover first off what temperature have we dropped off to? 46. We got all the way right up to close to 80 yesterday afternoon. I think 78, 79 yesterday. Oh, as a matter of fact, it's showing 79 as the official high. I think that may be what it was out at the airport yesterday. I'm sure a couple of us maybe touched 80 around the region as we had a mixture of some clouds and sunshine. And then back out towards the west, the rain started developing and eventually pressed down and pushed into us as the nighttime came. Pretty much right on track of what we were talking about yesterday. The rain started late last night around 11. We had a push during the day, maybe around from noon to 2 o'clock, somewhere in there. Most everybody's rain started. Only rained for a little bit, and then it kind of passed on and was gone. And there was a bump of thunder here or there, but we didn't get into any of the severe weather that I know of, at least as of right now. I haven't seen any reports that say we were, but there will be some potential for some severe weather in this forecast, just not today. That's the good news for us. So heavy rain, 46 degrees outside right now. It says heavy thunderstorms will roll through during the day today, but generally speaking, we'll see a thunderstorm potential, but we're not going to see any severe weather potential with that, and we will see some pretty heavy downpours at times, and we will see some times where we're literally not much of anything is falling at all, and it just depends on the time frame, with later today being a better time to be dry than earlier today here in the early morning hours, and very similar to what we were talking about yesterday. All right, so that's what it looks like there. But what does it look like out on the roads, huh? So I started heading out to some of the cameras, and here's the 231 where it crosses over into I-65, and you can see visibility's maybe a mile, although it looks fairly bright out there right now. And again, this is on the northern half of where the rain is right now. You come back down closer, you see the opposite side of the junction there, and you can see the look back off towards the north, I think this is on this one, and it looks a little bit better off that direction, a little bit less rain on the camera too, of course. The 18, there you go, where State Road 18 crosses over 65, a little more gloomier, it looks a little darker. Now sometimes it can be the irises on the cameras, but right now this looks a little darker and gloomier, and I see a little bit more fog, looks like on the horizon there pretty easily, with plenty of wet streets and interstates for all of us to see, at least on this picture. As we get down closer, here's 43, and they always point this thing down at the ground. Wish they pointed it up a little bit more, but here we are looking back towards Lafayette. Plenty of spray coming up off the trucks there, and we see plenty of rain in the culverts right now too, so raining pretty decently here in Lafayette. Then as you get on to 25, you look back towards 43, you could get a bit of the visibility. It's a couple miles up to those trees back off in the distance there, so your visibility is only about 2 miles or so. You can kind of see the grayness of the clouds there over the top too, but everybody seems to be moving along pretty quickly. I don't see any accidents or anything like that right now. Same thing over at 26, actually fairly quiet over there right now. Don't see a ton of traffic at the moment, but the roads are wet just like they are everywhere else, and we're not seeing any open spots, are we, in the sky? That's the unfortunate thing right now. because we do seem to be right in the corridor, right where the rain is right now, okay? So that's where we're at least on this front. So here we are, pretty rainy out towards Dayton on State Road 38 and where it crosses the interstate, looking back down towards Indianapolis. And again, same thing, lots of cloud cover, rainy streets, maybe 2 miles visibility, give or take a little bit there. And then we get down to Frankfort and we start picking a little bit more wind blown, almost looks like this. Remember the fields down here at Frankfort took on some snow a couple weeks ago, and they got a little bit more rain. And ever since then, every time it's raining, they're getting some flooded fields in the areas down around Frankfort there. So that's something we have seen on the pictures in the Frankfort. We look over their cam that's over the bridge right now, and it looks like you can see that too. And then all the way down to the truck stop, still raining pretty much. When we come back in, we look in closer at some of the cameras around town. More of the same. I mean, we expect to see this, obviously, right? But the good news is we are not seeing any accidents anywhere. And back down to Tippecanoe Mall, and everything looks pretty quiet with just the rain on the ground falling pretty steady at times, depending on where you are at. All right, besides that, the first thing we look at after being a forecaster and kind of figuring out what the local weather is like, the first charts, the first things we look at is our satellite picture. I already know we have a lot of clouds over us, so I'm out into the Midwest a little bit. You can kind of see it right now. Just to give me a good idea of what I think I'm looking at, I see one big honker of a thunderstorm down there just to the southwest of St. Louis right now. You can see all the blow-off. That's the dark red colors you're seeing there is the blow-off off the top of that thunderstorm coming. So the thunderstorm's right about here, right there, and then the blow-offs coming off there with Lafayette being downstream right about here. And you can see some of our tops are pretty good. Yet we're in the yellows and the greenish colors with a little bit of red here or there, but none of the dark, intense dark reds of the indication of this morning is of thunderstorm activity down there. And then we see some clouds downstream, way downstream, where we'll be seeing some of those kind of stream back into the area as we get a little break later this afternoon, it looks like, at least at this point. A little bit of a break this afternoon before the next band of rain. But you notice right now, before I even go to the radar, there's not much just south of us, is there? Looks like Indy's not getting much of rain at all. So maybe even Crawfordsville, you might be getting, obviously getting less rain than we are. But Indianapolis for sure. And then as you go downstate, there's hardly nothing for rain showers. So that's where we're at least on the front end of where the cloud cover is. And we're not seeing much of any help except for the stream here. Now let's go back out one more shot. I'm going to go out to the continental shot, and we can kind of see where the stream on the line is. Remember, I talked about this line. Where would the moisture line set up? And we had been, I think like 2 weeks ago, it showed it south of us, and then like 10, 12 days ago, it was to the north of us, and then it kind of pinpointed around us there for a while last week, and it was below us and south of us, but it was somewhere in the state by the time we got inside the 10-day period or so. And the timing was, I think, Monday. It actually started off Monday is when we were looking at it. So here we are Wednesday. We're like 2 full days later, some 2 weeks later, and it's setting up the general kind of pattern of rainfall somewhere in the state of Indiana, and kind of like a rain train running along through that kind of sector. So that's something we talked about a couple of weeks ago. So you can see how sometimes, especially the bigger the effect is, the bigger the storm is, the models pick it up better long range. They miss a lot of that little stuff. A lot of the longer range models do that, especially your GFS, the global model, your European model will miss a lot of the little small things, but will pick up those big events very easily. So that's something we usually watch out for. All right, hey, Bill's in here this morning. Good morning, Bill. Looks like Tennessee's been out of it. Look at it, he's down here. Bill's down in Tennessee right now, northwest of Nashville. Looks like he's high and dry this morning. Probably pretty warm down there, I'll imagine, at the moment. Probably somewhere around 65, I would think. You guys are south of the frontal system and where everything has been setting up on our rain train. So it looks like he's going to be staying out of the rain most of the day today, but he may get into something a little bit later. We'll have to take a look at that. I've got the shots of the Storm Prediction Center's idea of where they think everything's going to be. But this is where everything is on the big picture. You kind of see where that rain train has set itself up over here. Yep, he's dry down there, he says. So that's pretty good down there for Bill. And then we see the next little system coming out of the Rocky Mountains off towards our west. Let's go back to the sub-regional shots here and get back in here. Actually, one quick look now to Tennessee. There you go. Looking pretty good, nice and high and dry there. Just a few clouds off to his north. Got a big thunder bumper, though, off to his west there that he's got to keep an eye on. He's an old weatherman himself, so I think he'll be high and dry, probably be sitting out on the porch waiting for it. I know how he is. So that's it for there, at least on that sector. Let's look back up towards Lafayette real quick here and see if we can pinpoint where the rain is. And then we'll come in even closer on that. So we'll switch over to the radar, and you can see Lafayette right about here. And a pretty good band of rain has just passed through the region, moving off towards the northeast, coming out of the southwest. And Bill says it's 68 down there. Bless your heart. And now how do we say, oh, aren't you a sweetie down there? 68 degrees, comfortable probably. A little humid maybe for me, but that's okay. And then you can look at this. Look at this. You can see the wrap. Look at this wrap right in there. There's an intense little bit of a low right in there. You can see it very clearly wrapping up on the band of precipitation there as it's pulling in some of this rain and doing different things with it as these showers move off towards the northeast, coming out of the southwest most of the morning. Now we zoom in even closer to one of the localized sectors, and we can pinpoint where the rain is locally, with Lafayette being right here. There's that little kind of it's almost a micro low kind of coming along the boundary system that's kind of stationary. I call it stationary, but it's waving back and forth north to south. Cape Girardeau, it says he's Bill saying looks to be getting hit pretty hard. Yep, they're over by St. Louis for sure. And right now, though, for us, though, we still see that low right there. It's kind of wrapping in on itself. That's probably about where it is. Either way, you can see where the pattern is. I also remember we talked about it not being more than like 50 to 100 miles wide, and sure enough, it's about what you got. Most of maybe the northern suburbs of Indianapolis have been getting some rain. One little tuft came through there. Everything else has been stopping right around Lebanon. And we see a little sinkage there, and then we see back to the north, and then it's pressed in from the north all the way to, about the Kankakee River right there, back over to Kankakee itself in Illinois, and then back over towards Toledo. It's north of Columbus, so you can see it's a pretty narrow path, but it's running over the same areas, right? So I'm sure there's going to be some spots where it got real heavy overnight last night and maybe through the day today that we'll have to keep an eye out for flooding during the day for sure, as some potential down the river. The river has been finally up a little bit, not still near its norms for this time of the year, but over the last couple of weeks it has been up at least a little bit. We had been in a pretty good drought for a long time there, the last 6 months it just seems like several years actually, and I bet if we went back and looked at the details, we'd find out that Lafayette has been below normal for like 3 or 4 years, at least since I've been paying attention to it. We always laugh about the little bubble over Lafayette where the storms go north and south, and then we never get any rain in the center, and that happens a lot, and that's just one of them patterns. But the drought, there was a drought bubble over us and over some portions of Illinois in the last few years, and I'm sure that continued on until we start to get some more rain and more consistent rain, which we haven't had the last few years, all right? So, so there it is coming through. We see more rain coming in from the southwest. It does look lighter down here. We see some of the intensities already moving off and then starting to lose some of the intensities on this. And then we see some of the intensities down to the south. They just aren't that big. They're not that strong. So the lighter rain coming in already this morning during the morning hours. And then we'll probably see a little let up this afternoon potentially. And then we'll be able to see a little bit more of that. Now, there is a little feature here you can probably see right here. You can just see a little bit of intensity right there running right along that. And that could be your lake effect, your lake effect coming off of there. Not lake effect snows, but the effects of the wind coming down off of the lake, creating a little bit of extra rain right in those areas, right along the Kankakee again there, right where everything kind of stops. And then it just stops. There's no precipitation north of that. So, it looks like Chicago's kind of high and dry right now, and Indy is just taking a shower or two here or there, but everybody in between is getting some kind of rain or another for sure. So before we get out of here, let's go back and take one quick look at that big thumper down there by Cape Girardeau, since I didn't pay attention to it. There it is right there. You can kind of see it. You can kind of see how it streams down through here. And that baby's got some pretty good tops on it for early morning hours. And it's right on the interstate right there as you cut down south from St. Louis down towards Oklahoma City. Right there along the interstate. So, and you can see some of the reds in there pretty well. And we get in there real close. See if we can see it real close. There you go. You can see some of the intensities in there moving along. It's creating its own wind as it moves along. I'm sure they're seeing the potential for some hail there with the temperatures being a little bit colder on the backside this time of the year, about perfect for the hail potential there. But I'm not seeing anything that jumps out at me and says a hook, but we got to definitely keep an eye on that kind of stuff. Kind of streaming up the interstate, but it looks like the entire interstate, if you happen to be right from here to almost St. Louis, you're going to get poured on over the next couple of hours. All right, so let's get to our model. We'll come back out, make sure we got us back in the picture so we know where we're at when we try to update and take a look at it next time. Let's take a look at where we are right now, and you can see kind of where the train is. I'm going to go out one shot real quick just to show you, and you can see kind of where everything is running, right? And we see our low pressure systems in here, the rain right now. The good news is our snow line's way far to the north, so no worries with that, at least at this point. But it is chilly. I mean, it was 80 degrees yesterday, and here we are at 46 this morning and raining on top of us. And what do I see as I go into advance here? As I get into the afternoon hours, here we are at 2 o'clock. I still see rain, but I see my chances starting to diminish, and a little bit of a rain line back farther towards the south. And then we start to pick up, and we see that there's not much going on into the evening hours. I still think you're talking a scattered shower or two, though, but your chances start to die away pretty good by that time frame. And then you can see the next wave coming up down in Missouri right now is where it's at. And as it moves towards the north, then it'll pick up for tonight. And here we are again on the nighttime train, right? Now, the nighttime train brings in some showers, maybe a thunderstorm or two right there, about 1 in the morning, and then we kind of pass through, and we're right on the edge again, just as we've been talking about. Then we get out of it for a little bit, so it looks like a slight chance of rain tonight is a little more less minimal than it was last night, and we get back into the warm sector, so we get into the warm sector of it, and then the front and the actual system comes through way out on Thursday into the afternoon hours. That will have some potential for some severe weather in it there. This will be about 5 o'clock Thursday with Lafayette being right there. So you can see how the thunder bumpers are coming down through there, coming along there, be creating its own wind. We'll definitely see a little potential for everything with that. And you've got your storm wrapped up. You got a bit of an occlusion, a warm front and a cold front involved with the system. You got snow up on the north side, up in the UP, Wisconsin, Minnesota, over there. And then you got showers all around the frontal system. And then you're seeing a couple little waves of troughs behind it where you could pick up a band of showers or maybe an intermittent good-sized thunderstorm in there too. That's Thursday evening. Watch how it goes through there. Again, look at that. There's a bubble right there. See that bubble kind of breaks out. All right, so we see the thunderstorms go by, and then there you are. Let's see, what's the time frame on it was? It was like 5 in the afternoon right there. Then 6. It's by us a little bit by about 7 o'clock, maybe 8 o'clock. Then we're pretty clear. Now, we can't pinpoint these openings that easily, but maybe 9 or 10, it's okay. And then right around midnight, we get another last little trough kicking with the system as it comes through. As the frontal boundary is gone past us by that point. But now here we are at 2 in the morning. We may hear a little bit more thunder by that time frame. This is the 6Z run of the HER model because the 12Z doesn't have as much data on it as of yet. It's about 43% done, so let's see where it is. It's not quite gotten that far. What's it look like this morning, though? It shows us in the rain, of course. Here we are here. Let's zoom back into our sector now real quick, and we'll see that we're in the rain. There's Lafayette. This is at, what time is this? This is at noon. It still shows us in the rain. And kind of keeps us there for a little bit. And I can see that for at least a little possibilities. And then by the time we get to about 4 o'clock this afternoon, we start to open up a little bit more and maybe get into the a couple dry sectors for a little while there for a few hours. This looks a little more intensity on what might come through during the nighttime hours for rainfall. Here we are by midnight. We start to pick up the rain and maybe some thunder in here along with this. not very organized compared to what's coming through this morning and what we saw yesterday with the thunder coming through yesterday. It actually would have been the night before last, right? But you can see that we're going to get into some heavy precipitation, and it does look like some thunder is a potential. Now, this is by 4 in the morning, so as you're heading off in the morning to go to work, a lot of you, there we go, we're starting to clear off, and everything's heading back to the north, and boom, we get into the warm sector. How warm we get today is going to be a tough call on this. To me, it feels like we're going to be more on the colder side with the rain in here. Definitely, for sure, we're going to see only highs in the 40s, maybe low 50s, and then bam, tomorrow we may, before the system gets in here, or afterwards, excuse me, we will definitely pump up our temperatures, and we'll see if we can maybe drag up some of that warm air from down in Tennessee where Bill's at right now and bring some of that up here for us. So, and we'll take a look at that too here in a little bit. But let's see what the NAM-NEST put on it. And the NAM-NEST goes out just a little bit farther from the 6Z, and you can kind of see we are right about here again, just to give you a heads up on that. And when it kind of cuts across and moves to the north, it dries us out on Thursday, and then there's a little slight chance Thursday evening of a shower moving through, but we're still in the warm sector. And then we try to kind of go east-west again, west to east, east to west. You take a look at it, and but we're south. We are south of the area where most of the cold air is farther to the north and the warm air is farther to the south by that time frame. So it looks like Friday may be a bit more higher and drier with scattered stuff, maybe early in the morning hours, and then the next little wave kind of sets up and goes west-east on us. And if we go west-east again and we can get into one of those patterns, we could be right in the middle of it. And what's it saying about early today? So let's go back to today. Here we are right now. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. 10 o'clock shows the showers coming through. It dries us out a little quicker, but we can see that there is maybe a little more moisture. This was the 6Z that ran through. Shows some showers coming through tonight, not nearly as intense, and then just kind of gets us into the warm sector for tomorrow. All right, so that's where we're looking at on Thursday. At least rain-wise. So rainy this morning for sure. Now temperatures, let's see how we battle this out right here. Right now we know we've gotten into the 40s, and we are right around that 45, 46. And we can see as we go off, our winds have shifted around to the northeast and coming off to the lake a little bit for some of those on Chicago. Look at this temperature up there. Chicago's 37 right now, off to our north. That's this afternoon. They're going to try to play a ball game out there this afternoon. I don't know if they got the ball game in last night or not, but they're going to try to play a ball game out there this afternoon, and it's going to be like right there's 2 o'clock, right before game time, 37 degrees. Coming in, winds howling in off the lake, and I'm sure even Sammy Sosa won't be able to hit it out this afternoon with a 20-knot wind coming in off of the lake. And 37 degrees, it'll feel more like 20, and they'll be hitting pop-ups into the infield that'll end up in the stands. That's the way that'll work for the Cubs game this afternoon. Now, for the rest of us, though, here we are battling with the temperatures in the 40s as we go through the day today, and we don't get the reprieve on anything. We stay pretty consistent, pretty much low to mid-40s. And then here's the climb. Look at the climb tomorrow. Starts coming right back up. Tomorrow morning early. So here we are at 10. So we'll be talking again tomorrow, and we'll be climbing right back into the 60s. Then we're coming up on the 70s, 75. It tops out around 75, it looks like, for a little period right in there, which is about 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, which is what you would expect. I'll probably bump this a couple degrees, maybe 77, I think we might see tomorrow. And again, how much of the cloud cover clears off to the north, or do we get some wispy stuff coming over the top to knock the temperature down a degree or two is something we'll have to keep an eye on for sure, but through tomorrow. And then it's going to stay probably warm overnight. Sure enough, there you go. And look at that. We're back in the 60s. We'll be like Tennessee weather throughout most of the night, tomorrow night into Friday, as that rain corridor kind of sets up to the north for the time being, until it's probably going to wave back to the south on Saturday or so. So that's your 70s there. Now that's the NAM-NEST. Let's see what the HERS says about it. Come back out to today and see what the HERS says. Now HERS in closer, more data, a little bit less there, right? Let's see what we've got here. And it shows us in the 40s today. Pretty consistent, 46. Here we are this afternoon at about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5. Same thing, 44, 45. We maybe get down to around 41 overnight. little 30s screeching close to us by that time frame. But look at, there's the push to the north. Bam. And by tomorrow morning, here we are at let's go back to that same time frame tomorrow morning. Right here, when we're talking tomorrow, it's going to be about 57 degrees, pushing straight up into the 70s, and it is showing somewhere around 74, 75 also. Same temperature factor in there for that. And so we got the two models now both saying about 75 tomorrow, and the rebound on Friday pushes us right back into the 70s and upwards near 80 again. So the front will be sagging off to the north by that time frame, and we're going to be out of the rain band at least for a little bit, more scattered kind of activity during that time frame. I'm also noticing that the severe weather outlook will be similar to that during that time frame. Let's take a look at today. All right, so here we are today. Bill down in Tennessee, scattered showers, thunderstorm, maybe. Us, scattered showers, thunderstorm, maybe, right? We have a bit more. No, he'll be very isolated showers. We'll have isolated thunderstorm with a few scattered showers off and on, especially this morning, okay? With our severe weather right along the Ohio River from Louisville back over towards Pittsburgh. And then there's that big pocket we talked about yesterday being out here in the west in Oklahoma, Kansas, and Texas yesterday. We talked a little bit about that. All right, so there's your activity for today. But what's it look like tomorrow? Well, tomorrow, right now, they're setting up just a big open swath where some thunderstorm activity could be during the time frame for tomorrow. And for us, this has to be, because we're expecting it mainly overnight, it's going to be more on the hail side, right? You see us there in the hail category, and wind, of course, always the wind is there. And then the tornado activity is very much on the low side, but you're still 2 to 5% chance is something to keep an eye on. And then we'll pinpoint this more tomorrow. I would not be surprised, based on what we're seeing there on that HERS, that they pinpoint a little bit more up towards Chicago at this point. But we'll see how that goes and how that develops, and where the jet stream sets up tomorrow with the low-lying jet that's coming in from the south. That will be enhancing that system, and we'll get a little bit more on that. And then as you go out to day 3, it gets even fewer and farther between. We got another system back out to the west, but it does kind of drag us in there. And the time frame on this could be into late tomorrow night into Friday, but probably more Friday night into Saturday. All right, so there's where the timing is on the severe weather pocket on that's Friday is out in Iowa. All right, out in Iowa. Don't head towards Des Moines on Friday if you happen to be going out that direction. Let's come back in. There's a real quick look at the satellite or the radar again. Do you have one of those days where you stumble over everything, and no matter what you say, seems like you get it wrong? You know you're trying to say rain, but you say snow, or you know you're trying to say clouds instead. You're trying to say sunny. Happens. I got one of those days going on. Oh, Bill wants to know when I'm going to put my world-renowned Easter forecast out. Yes, I have already put it out. I have at least talked about the Easter forecast being chilly and cold here, but we will see if anything has changed on our charts today. Yes, we will go and do that right now, as we are going to go into the extended forecast. Let's go back to precipitation first. Actually, let's check, see, it's going to be windy, right, guys? Let's check the wind out again real quick here this morning. There you go. Look at this. We're getting gusts of 25 in the local area, so you're pushing 30 miles an hour on the gust on that. Let's see watch how the thunderstorms that wrap up on this and we see them. So here we are this morning. Right there, 10 o'clock. Most of the wind, there's a dead spot to the south, so we kind of know where the frontal boundary is pretty easily, or where everything, look at this, all the winds coming in from the north, all the winds coming in from the south. Pretty easy to see where everything's at. Lafayette right here, and we're getting gusts somewhere in the neighborhood of 29 to 30 knots. That'll put us just around 35 miles an hour. Then we stay pretty gusty most of the day, and then it starts to drop off tonight. There we go. Still out of the north to northeast with our winds. And then we become even more easterly overnight by tomorrow morning. Here we are at midnight. Midnight, we're coming out of almost the due east. We're still hugging 23 knots on some of our gusts there with a pocket of 30s to our north. And look how windy it is up where they are looking for some of that severe weather. That is where you're getting some of that for later on. And then we stay windy. It does drop a little bit during the morning hours tomorrow morning, but not much. But remember, we're going to fight the battle, right? Now the warm is going to take back over again tomorrow, and look what happens to this wind. Look at all of this. A mighty rushing wind I have in one of my songs that I've written. A mighty rushing wind is also in the Bible. I'm just saying that it is. Okay, so we're seeing 40s out here to our west, over towards the Iowa, Missouri, Illinois trifecta, and then back towards Lafayette, we're at 18, and just to the south of us, we're in the 30s already. This is tomorrow, right at, here we are, 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock. The wind is going to be picking up, and the 40s are right there. They will be putting some wind advisories out for this. You can almost guarantee that. Now, whether we clip off enough of it for any long period is hard to say. We'll see. We're still 35 knots, which is 40 miles an hour, and we'll be gusting pretty strong during the day tomorrow. But what is the trade-off? All right? So the trade-off for heat in the spring is wind. Wind brings in the heat. What's the trade-off for the wind? It brings in the heat, right? So there you go. That's what you get. And or the vice versa can do the same thing with cold, especially in February and early March, right? But look at this, 35 knots all day tomorrow at least for your windy gustiness, 40 miles an hour. And then here we are out by 4 o'clock. It's still showing 37. Look at some of the spots out to the west, and look at southern Wisconsin into the 40s again still, even a couple 40s out towards the Mississippi. And then as we move in, there's our pocket of 40s. Looks like we're going to take that somewhere around 8 o'clock tomorrow night. We'll call it 5 o'clock. There you go, 6 o'clock. We jump from 37 to like right at 40, 41, 42, a little pocket of 43s just south of Champaign. And then we go to the north, and we're in those 40s. And then we die out a little bit around 8 o'clock tomorrow night, and it returns quickly. So our die out's only 5 knots. Doesn't do much of anything. And then we pop right back into the 40s about 10 o'clock tomorrow night. So a windy night ahead tomorrow night. And look at that. Stays in the 40s all night. Gusts to 40 to 42 just about all night knots. So we're going to be pushing 50 miles an hour. There will be an advisory for this for tomorrow night for sure. And then look at how it just kind of, boom, kind of goes away with the low as it pushes off, and we stay in the warm sector for that time frame. All right, so that's what we're looking at for tomorrow night. Winds big time tomorrow, winds. So that's your trade-off for getting your warm temperatures back in tomorrow, where you're back hovering around 80 degrees, is you're going to bring in some of the winds in the forecast for sure. All right, let's go to the NAM a little bit farther out. I'm going to go back to the precipitation on it. Winter, there you guys go. Okay, remember the NAM's a bit bigger. It's a little wider, so it's not as accurate on a lot of the small stuff, but it picks up the big things pretty easy. And here it is Friday night. Let's see what it's showing for that. You know, the front. Remember I said the frontal boundary looked like it tried to go west to east on us, and it kind of looks like that right here. You can see the rain there. There's not a ton of rain along this thing at all, but there sure is a lot of wind with it, right? And then it just kind of wanders, and we just get scattered stuff, it looks like, overnight. We get that push right in there is where I'd be a little worried. You can see a little bit of the intensity there in central Illinois, and it wouldn't take much to get to Lafayette at all. That would be Friday night into Saturday, all right, for this next band of real good stuff. And then there's your daddy's frontal system trying to come through sometime in the afternoon on Saturday. Right now, that's Prague for 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock Saturday afternoon. You can see the intensities in there with that. I bet if we switch it over convective, and did they have the lightning on here? They don't have it. But you're definitely going to see like a supercell composite that's in there during that time frame on some of these and some of their mean layers. You see them. You can they're stretched out along there, and watch. You'll see a little bit of it. There it is, popping up in Illinois for sure, and then over us during that time frame. So that's what we're going to have to watch out to Friday evening into Saturday. And then we'll see what happens and pops up on Saturday during the day, at least on that front. All right, so, okay, Bill's saying down there they're going to see the 60s and lows in the upper 30s and 40s. Wind from the northwest 10 to 15. Only a slight chance of light rain in the AM for our Easter. And then some rain in the afternoon. There's a little heart over mine. Then some sun in the afternoon. There it goes. I love it. Now you're getting forecasting experience all over the world. Bill has. You think my 40-something years are big? He's got way more experience than I do. He's laughing right now. I know he is once he finally sees the delay on this. I get to laugh at it first. So we're having some fun with it. All right, let's get back into some of the precipitation. Where's the precipitation at? Average winter precipitation type. All right, I'm going to go right over to the GFS model. Let's see what the GFS is saying. We're going to come back to the early on. And I'm going to go back to the wider shot real quick here so we can kind of see where things are developing on this a little bit more. So here we are. Here's current time frame, or pretty close to it, right? We are at 18Z. Let's go back. There we go. Man, I got to read my clocks a little bit better. It was forward. That's where we were before. All right, so there is 8 o'clock this morning. We see the rain, the line. In reality, it's probably barely got it north of us at this point, the trend of where the precipitation is, and that fits pretty good. It's not too far off. And we see the rains kind of in and out, and then we get a little bit more again Thursday night. There's that wave when I said it goes to the north tomorrow night. That's what I'm a little bit worried about. We'll keep an eye on that, and that would be what the Storm Prediction Center is probably saying for tomorrow evening too, right? On day 2, for our best chances would be in the evening as that warm front progresses back towards the north and pushes back to the north with the cold front trailing behind it. So again, look at, here's your daddy's storm right here. Low back here, occlusion, warm front. You got your cold front right here. You got a trough back behind the system. Maybe the cold front itself is even trailing way back there. We watch the system come in. The cold front really kind of falls apart, doesn't it? You don't see a ton there, and that's why we weren't looking for a whole bunch for Thursday into Friday, just to warm. But then it kind of sets itself back up. There it is, a little east to west on us with another low pressure trying to arc again over the top of us. Trying to arc over the top of us for sure. And then as it goes through, we get back into the warm for a little bit. And then, bam, here comes the cold front coming through on Saturday. This time frame on this right now is at 11. So it's showing 11, a little, maybe a fraction earlier. And then there it is at 2 o'clock right on top of us in the afternoon. Good thunderstorms in there. Thunderstorms approaching the western portion of Tennessee at that time frame too, right along the Mississippi River, then running up the Ohio, up the Wabash, right to Lafayette. And then the lows off to the north, and there is some snow behind the system. Will it get to us? No, we're not going to scare you like that. 21Z, so there we are. So that's Saturday during the day. Baseball games could get rained out, anything along those type things. Golf may be rained out on Saturday. We'll have to keep an eye on that for you guys. Clears out Saturday evening, right? And remember, I kept telling you it's going to be cold on Sunday morning, and sure enough, look at that. Are we going to see a snowflake? Well, I mean, it's down here far enough, but it doesn't really show it over us for Sunday morning. Does show cold. You can see that on there pretty easily. And then, as we expected, a gloomy Easter morning with cold temperatures and a brisk wind for sure. There's 8 o'clock. That's 8 o'clock on Sunday morning, and it doesn't look good. The wind direction may keep the snow or any flurries away from us. I wouldn't count it out, but chances aren't good. But then you can see, though, we're going to be in a windy area coming into it to us. And we're going to be dragging all those clouds around the low-pressure system over northern Indiana like it always does, right? Instead of sunny southern Indiana, which, well, they'll see a bit more sun down there. Illinois always seems to get out of that trek, too. It's always right through here. Kind of the cutoff is somewhere between Lafayette and Champaign, it seems like to me, most of the time. Just observation over all these years. Not as many years as Bill, but as many years. All right, but then we're high and dry. Here we are Monday. We're looking pretty good. No major real systems coming into us, but cold. I see the 540 line's way down here approaching Tennessee, trying to make it cold down there. So Monday, Tuesday, colder. Then we start to rebound on Wednesday. Towards Wednesday, it's getting warmer and warmer. And here we go back into the thunderstorm activity again. By next Thursday into Friday, here we go. Thursday night, Friday. Now we're getting back into this, not quite west to east, but we're getting closer. I see it developing low down here. High pressure to the north, high pressure to the south. This is on the Friday the 10th. This means great weather probably for the Masters, I would say, down there, because they'll be right in the midst of the Masters. Nice and warm, sunny weather down in Tennessee also. And then look at this. We set up back west to east a little bit. presses back to the north by next Saturday, and we get into some thunderstorms maybe next Saturday again. Will that reinforce the cold? Nope, doesn't really do much to it for the cold there. Will we get some cold? It'll be colder afterwards, obviously. And then we're back into the rain train. So on the following Monday into Tuesday. So yesterday when we talked about it, we thought most of next week was going to be pretty high and dry, right, rain-wise. And it looks pretty good when we get out to the following week. So let's take a look at that, go back at that real quick here. So here we are following Easter, right? I almost said Christmas. We love both of those times of the year. All right, so here we are on Easter, right? And it's pretty high and dry then, but it's cold. It's cold. We've reinforced some of the cold. Any one of these time frames, we get some clouds over us with some colder temperatures. We could see some flurries, but nothing definite's coming over us at any point of a system. And then we don't see much. Here we are Monday into Tuesday. There's not much. It's kind of high and dry, right? Maybe a clipper right there. Oh, can we force it? But the temperature's trying to warm up at the same time for next Wednesday, April 8th, for maybe that there. And then it finally starts to warm up. We get into the warm sector. It's very warm again for next Thursday and Friday. And finally the rain comes in. That would be Friday. There you go. Thursday night into Friday, and kind of goes west to east on us for a little bit, and then comes in. So Sunday through like Thursday is pretty good. Then Thursday night it kind of gets wet again overnight next weekend. Not this weekend, next weekend. And then we kind of go dry again for a while into mid-April. And our temperatures are probably pretty close to normal for that time of the year. There's just not much there in the middle of April to look at for your precipitation-wise anyway. Let's go back and look at the temperatures real quick. Man, this one's taking forever this morning. I don't know what it is. Is it just me, my old age? It's got to be. All right, so we see the kind of bouncing along here for temperatures. Let's put us back to where we are this morning. Wednesday morning. There we go, 15Z. This is be about 8. What time is that? Come on, that's 11 o'clock. It's 11 o'clock this morning. Here we are hovering in the 40s for us. We are right here. Lake Michigan's right here, if you can pinpoint that pretty easily. I know there's a lot of data on here. We're looking at the temperatures more than anything else, and wind directions on here with this, with Lafayette being right about where the 47 is. Luckily on this chart, they actually put a temperature on Lafayette, so you can follow that pretty easily if you would like to. But I'm looking for trends. What are my trends going to be, especially the farther out I get? And the trends we know right now are going to be warm after today, right? It's going to be cold today, and then it's going to warm up tomorrow. There you go. I see where's my warmth during the day. West Virginia gets into the 80s. Looks like Bill's perfect down there. He's in the upper 70s tomorrow. Very nice day. We've got cold 20s and 30s. Bill and I have friends up in the UP, 27 degrees for them tomorrow during the afternoon. And we stay in the warm sector for a little bit overnight, Thursday night into Friday. Doesn't do much. We're in the 50s. That's above our normal high, which is about 55 to 57 this time of the year. We're pushing into the 60s pretty rapidly. And then you can see Friday afternoon, here we are in the upper 70s again. You can kind of lay out right where your frontal boundaries are pretty easily when you look at the temperatures. That's one of the things you learn, too, in forecasting school is that. And making fun of all the old guys. And now I'm one of the old guys to make fun of. Bill's saying senility is kind of moving in on us. Well, me for sure. It's been with him for years. He just doesn't know it. All right, so that's kind of the way that works with that. Okay, so there we go. 70s again still on Saturday with us maybe in the 60s with cloud cover, rain potential in there. We may not climb too much on Saturday. And then we push through, and here comes the reinforcement of the cold. And Saturday morning, unfortunately, there it is, 35 degrees. And if we're at 20 knots, you're talking about a 15 to 20 wind chill at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning, unfortunately. And then it kind of stays. Look at this. It gets to the mid-40s. Look at that by the day. Are we going to make it to 50? It tries to get us up to 50 Sunday afternoon, but you're still talking a 15-mile-an-hour wind, sustained with gusts to maybe 25 or 30 in some spots with that system. Luckily, it looks like we will be losing the wind speeds a bit as the day goes on. See how the isobars are tighter here and less now, but when we go back in about 3 to 6 hours, see how tight they are. They're real close to each other right through here. we know we're going to see some gusty winds there, and we're going to start lose it as the day goes on. And we see this big old high back down to the south starting to set up, pulling the cold air to the north, out of the north and from the northwest on this, and then pulling the warm air up from the south and from the southwest around the high itself as it kind of presses in towards the central portion of the country. Keeps us cool on Monday, but we climb back into, what is it? Was that 60 I saw flash by there? Monday afternoon, hovering around 50 it looks like, so below normal. And the lows are a little below normals. We're normally into the upper 30s by this time frame for our lows. And then there we are again on Saturday. This will be Tuesday now, Monday, Tuesday. Get my days mixed up. 45. Still cold, still chilly. We have not been able to pull the heat over to us until the middle of next week. Right now is the way it looks like, at least on that front. And then there it is, trying to pull back in by Thursday, remember? And then there's the front. We were talking about the front coming in on Thursday into Friday. So the temperatures, they're going to be okay next week. They're going to be at or slightly above normal, probably more at normal, where we're going to be around that 60 mark, right? And then we get a little warmth towards the end of the week. We try to bring in some cold up there from the north, but it doesn't quite make it. And it looks like our temperatures are going to be pretty warm enough for no more snow. We'll see if we get those chances for some flurries later this week. And then we just keep an eye on it. It looks pretty good. Our temperatures are pretty much near normal. You see some influxes from the north. There's a pretty good cold push way out on April 15th. Tax day could be cold morning for you if you're going out to pay the piper that day. And then we see a lot of warmth back out to our west. We see 70s and maybe pockets of 80s out there on that Thursday, on that day out towards our west. So a lot of different things happening in our forecast for the next few days. It looks wet for sure. Today, wet this morning, drying up a bit this afternoon. And then we try to get into the warm sector tomorrow and warm us up a lot tomorrow, with some more rain coming into the picture later on in the forecast period. Right now, we're about 93% done on the current new model. Let's go back and see what it shows for precipitation on that winter. All right. So we've been talking about this for a while. Now the HRRR is almost updated totally now, about 93%. There's Lafayette right there. You can see it in the rain this morning, right? So here we were at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the rain, 11, 12, all right? There's a 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. Shows that band of showers that was off to the west down here, possibly pushing through by about 2 or 3 this afternoon. And it goes south of us, but we kind of stay in scattered rains there. This doesn't look quite as positive as the one this morning did. And then by about 4 o'clock, it starts to really clear things out for us pretty good. And then brings another band of rain probably back up. Here it comes back up with the influx of the flow coming back from the south around midnight tonight. Here we go. We got another band of showers, maybe a thunderstorm or two mixed in there with that. As that comes in and goes through, boom, that's a pretty good spot of some thunder right there that we may see. Good time frame, 2 in the morning. Atmosphere is much more stable during that time frame, but we should see some thunderstorms there. And that's where our potential is for the thunder for tomorrow, mainly anyway, for us, right? And then we see this little push. We see there's the front. There it is right there coming back in Thursday night into Friday. We have another chance Thursday night into Friday for some thunderstorms potential, and a second band that comes through Friday early morning. What time is that? That's 1 in the morning Friday morning. So Thursday evening could be active again. And that's the one where we're looking where we have maybe 2 potentials where you're talking really late Thursday night and then again Friday morning. For their potential on those 2 on that front. That's what it is. Let's go change real quick to the convective and go to my favorite, which some of you already know, is the lightning density. All it does is an indicator to show me where probably the biggest thunderstorms are going to be during this time frame, right? So here we are. There's that big one down towards Cape Girardeau, heading over towards Cape Girardeau and St. Louis in central Missouri right now. We see there's just a slight risk for some lightning in our area, and I don't think we've picked up anything. I haven't heard much of anything at all. And then we see some thunderstorms go to our south. during the day today. Here we are at 4 o'clock. 5 o'clock. See how we've gotten out of the loop now. The rain is pressed to the south, then it starts to press back to the north. Here's our chance for the thunder overnight tonight, around midnight or so. There's a little bit of thunder. I don't see a lot of intensities anywhere here. It's just very low on the category, so don't expect a lot for thunder out of these other than a couple thumps here or there. And then it kind of dies away overnight. And then let's see what happens late in the day tomorrow as we get towards midnight tomorrow night. We start to see increasing chances and streaks of lightning. You see that as your storms pick up and pop up during the latter portions of the afternoon. And then right there about that would be about 6 o'clock tomorrow, right? We've been saying 5 to 6 or so. We would be close to some thunderstorms, and that would be our chance for some severe weather there, potentially, but I don't see a lot of intensity here. Now, intensity is not always the bearer of bad news with that, but usually the intensities, like you see up here near Chicago, is where your severe weather is going to be. Now, that's where the low is, right? So we know we've got some stuff up around the actual low pressure system up there, and then it's going to press through, and we have that second shot around midnight tomorrow night into Friday morning where it presses through, and we have another shot. And is there's a little bit of intensity just north of Lafayette there? Could there be a little bit of chance for some severe weather there? We'll keep an eye on that one. We'll pinpoint that one tomorrow morning, and we'll figure it out tomorrow as you and I talk again tomorrow. Everybody who's here, all 2 of us that are watching right now. So I know some of you will get back in here later on today because that's what happens every day so far as I've been doing this. And it's just giving me something to do in my old age. Bill, they're calling me old. That's what they're saying it is. The VA still has decided I am not 100% disabled somehow or another, even though I haven't been able to work for a year and I feel like dog doo-doo. All right, that's me on my soapbox for the moment. All right, we'll see what happens on that front. Did the Cubs win last night? That's my question. All right, I'm going to switch out. You guys are going to see this. I'm going to Espen, the magazine, and I'm going to switch out to me so you can see at me and look at my expression as I see if the Cubs won or did not win, or did they even play last night. They lost 2-0. Come on, guys. Come on, man. 2-0, 4 hits. What are we talking about? I get to complain. We got to do those videos where we just watch the game and react to all the games, right? See if we can get hundreds of thousands of people watching us. Come on, man! Something like that. Me and Bill, right? Long distance, we'd be doing it. Football games, basketball games, baseball games. Man, we will have a good time between the 2 of us. That is for sure. You know, one of those bad things you think about at times is just popped into my head. Our third amigo, Joe, is not with us anymore. He's passed away a few years ago, and we missed him. And Susie and I were talking about him last night, Bill, and how we missed him and how things might have been different if our paths had gone differently down different roads during the time frame. And it was just a nice time to say a prayer for a lost friend, a very close friend to both Bill and I, and many people who were in the Antarctic crew that loved Joe a lot. And so that just kind of gave me a memory of that, and sorely missed. That is for sure. And for the rest of us, that means I am going to pour out some blessings right now. For one, I'm going to end early. And we're going to call it a day. I'm going to show you the radar, and then we're going to call it a day. How's that? I forgot about that. Let's go right back out to the radar. Bam! There we are. Now we can see the rain starting. Right now, it's still moving off towards the east. We can see little waves, though. Again, I think you're going to get a clap of thunder or 2 out of here, one of these here, right in here. The low is right there. You can see there's some kind of meso low running along the system right there. And then here's the batch where it says it's going to all go through southern Indiana, and we're going to get a slow progression and a push and a sag down into the afternoon hours for us, at least on that front right there. All right, so that's where the thunderstorms are, the showers are right now. One last check on one other thing I got in here that we looked at yesterday, and there it is. All right, and this will give us an indicator. How close is anything near us at this point? All right, lightning map, forecaster's best friend. Where's the lightning? Oh, I see something on there. Northern Indianapolis. Whoa, jumping all over the place. Up near Fishers, they're getting a thunderstorm, or they just had one in the last hour. That looks a little darker. And you notice all that stuff south of us. None of it is creating any lightning. But you go down by the big boy down towards St. Louis, and look at that. Lots of yellows, which is the more active, right? Within the last 5 or 10 minutes, you can set up your numbers how you want them on here. And then in my case, the darker it gets, the longer out it was, all right? So the bright yellows are your newest ones on there. If I remember how I set this up, if it's still set up that way. So, Bill says, yeah, we miss him definitely. We definitely miss Joe. And then there's an active thunderstorm just south of St. Louis and over the city right now, it looks like. But nothing in our neck of the woods outside of a clap of thunder or two right now. And then we'll keep an eye on stuff late tonight and again tomorrow night. It seems like we have been, most of our rain activity has been at night. This is the first morning I can remember where it's just raining, steady rain out there. I'm sure we've had some because I'm up north of Lafayette now. I've been missing some of the rains that have been south. Like there was that one tornado that went in southeast of Lafayette, was over east of even Frankfort. But when it went through the southern portion of Tippecanoe County, some of you were able to see that and maybe ran into a few of those things there on that front. Current temperature right now, 46 degrees. Let's get out of here. Everyone have a blessed day. Try to stay dry, and we will talk to you again tomorrow at the same time, same place, same bat channel. Have a blessed day. Love you all. Bye-bye.